Welcome to the Crowned Medium, where Her Highness Lorenda Carr delivers intuitive clarity, messages from Spirit, and tools to elevate your spiritual journey.
Good morning. Hello. We have we've got Peaceful Nik on the show. I'm Lorenda Carr, your Crowned Medium. And today we've got the dragon crown focus.
Love.
Yes. So yeah, we're just getting this. We're gonna do the thing on the tickety talk here to get the things out. You know the drill.
Yep. Oh, I know.
And it's a drill because you've been there.
It's a whole thing.
I love that. You know, a lot of people are stepping away from it, as we know. But what I'm finding is I've met some really cool people, including you, on that journey.
Yes.
And I'm just very excited to have you on. I'd be even more excited if I could get my stuff to work.
Well, the intro is amazing. Let's just start with how awesome that is. Amazing. I've been meaning to make an intro for myself, but I'll get there someday. Good morning, Vivian. So we're going to talk about some cool stuff today. I am thrilled and honored to be back. Last time I got cut off because the workers had to be here for whatever that was.
I know, that was nuts. I was kind of cracking up. I'm like, well, you listen, when the delivery guys show up, you take advantage of that and you just deal with it, because sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do not. All right. So we have Peaceful Nik here this morning, and we are going to be talking about, I don't know, sciencey things, mediumship. Nik, and so if you're in my phone world, go check out that there. Okay, you'll be able to see her over there. So hello friends. We're just kind of getting everything going. So what have you been up to? Tell me a little bit about what you've got going on these days. I want people to get to know you so they can make sure to follow you and all the good things, and where they can usually find you. Tell me a little bit. What do you have going on, Nik?
So most of my content is now on YouTube and Facebook. That's where I concentrate most of my lives and content. I'm a certified evidential medium through Mark Ireland and Helping Parents Heal. So I'm honored and thrilled to have passed that certification. It was a long journey. It was a beautiful journey. It kind of made me feel like, I'm a real medium now.
Isn't that funny? I decided finally 5-6 years later to finally go through the Camp Chesterfield mediumship program just to get certified, because I feel like, well, maybe people will take me more seriously if I have letters behind my name. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. And it's so validating because I come from a science background. So the other thing I have going on is I'm an astronomy professor at a college here. I've done that for decades. Well, probably 15, 20 years. I've done that. And, that takes up a lot of time. So I have to keep my analytical mind in one space and my mediumship mind in the other. And, as a scientist, I'm always doubting my mediumship, right? Because, that's what science does. You try to figure out if something's real or not. Right. And so the certification program, where you have to do 5 blind readings, and it, gets a certain amount of evidence, and then they're graded, and it's a whole process, and it's wonderful. But it made me feel like, I'm not making it all up. After 7 years of being a medium, you still doubt yourself, and it's like, okay, I am a real medium, even though you get testimonials from clients and you get nice comments and emails and all of that.
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know. It was just a wonderful, validating, beautiful experience. So I've got the astronomy stuff and my Mars contest for the summers coming out. So the summers I do less readings because I work more with my science stuff in the summer. I run some pretty big international programs. You can find me in other places with my real name. If you're interested in a Mars competition for your kids, I run that in the summer. So in the summer, I do less mediumship and more science. So I'll have less readings available in the summer. So, so I'm doing science, I'm doing mediumship, I'm taking naps when I can, and listening to telepathy tapes. Listening to telepathy tapes.
I cannot wait to dive into that today. And I'm so glad that I just started reading this or listening to them, and that our schedules worked out this way. Because I feel like you're like the probably out of all my mediumship friends, I feel like you're probably the most logical and the most qualified to have this conversation, to be able to ask these questions. Because I mean, let's be real. I have a dance degree. And I teach dance. So I have I come from that creative background, which is still funny because I'm still very logical. And the more I listen to these tapes as I go through season 2, they do dive more into mediumship. They dive more into collective consciousness and the concepts of, is it without necessarily, I'm not all the way through them yet. Understanding the creativity process and how one thing that stood out to me that I was listening to this morning is they were talking about how creativity, and this goes back, you saying something about your science, doing the science thing over the summer, that creativity can calm anxiety.
Yeah.
And anxiety can stop creativity. And how within the brain and all these studies that have been done. I don't know. I think it's fascinating.
That's true. That's true.
And I thought it does make sense.
Like you teach dance. So if you had to choreograph a dance, a brand new one for your students.
Right.
And you just got a phone call and somebody was mad at you and they're saying, Lorenda, you blah, 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 such and such, and you shouldn't have whatever, right? And then 5 minutes later, you have to choreograph this whole new dance and you're just beginning the process, right? It's a whole thing. And now you're like, but that lady was mad at me and now I've got all this stress. And now you're going to have like this blurry vision for your creativity, right? It's kind of like when you have a bad cold and you're trying to do some work and you just can't think straight. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like this cloud over your.
It is. It's like a fog.
Yeah. Yeah, like in, I don't know if you remember the old movie Joe versus the Volcano. It's hilarious. And
I've seen that for so long.
Somebody tells him he has a brain cloud. And so whenever I have that foggy feeling in my head, I'm like, I have a brain cloud.
Your brain cloud.
Joe versus the Volcano is a very funny movie. If you like stupid comedy, it's old. It's probably streaming everywhere.
I feel like our Gen X selves, we appreciate true dumb comedy.
Exactly. So anxiety for sure can cloud any creative thing you're trying to do,
Right.
But it also, if you use it correctly, you can turn the anxiety into creativity and make yourself not anxious anymore.
Right. And I think that's where it's just listening to these tapes and them talking about different people's experiences and the scientific side of it, and the magical, mystical side of it, which to me, none of it is magical other than this is cool. Like it feels magical. To me, it's all, I've always said, no, they're going to figure this out one day. This is all science. This all makes sense somehow. But even in tap dance, there's logic and reasoning and within even the creativity of tap dance, because it's musicality, there's numbers, there's patterns, there's
music is math.
Music is math, period. And my kids look at me like I've got 2 or 3 heads when I say dance is science. But
you have to use kinesiology. The body.
Yeah.
You can't. There's certain moves you just can't do because your body just isn't going to move a certain way, right?
Yeah, especially when you get to be in your 50s.
I'll tell on myself here. There's certain moves my body can't do anymore. So I got one of those picker-upper clickers because I lose my grip, my hand grip. I've got a little arthritis in my hand and I'll drop something 50 times a day. And so my husband went over to the Dollar General and got me a picker-upper. So now when I drop my pen, I just Cool. So that's my body doesn't do the moves anymore either. So
Right.
Hello, everybody on the live. Dolores.
Yes, hello.
Thank you, Vivian. Vivian said, Nik, you forgot to mention what a wonderful mentor.
Aww.
Yes, I do mentorships. I don't have any room right now for any, probably till the fall. So, my schedule's pretty packed, but thank you, Vivian. I appreciate that. Amy, hello, Debbie. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Anna. And hi, Lucille. So I'm very excited to talk about it.
We've got lots of people in here, and over in the Instas, we've got Ellen Craig. She says, "Oh, opposite for me, stress makes me leave it on the floor. Passion." That's very true. Now, I was going to actually say that as well. You could either take that phone call and be super ticked off and come up with the greatest piece you've ever come up of choreography you've ever come up with, or you can let it bring you down. So again, creativity, it's finding that balance.
Right.
I feel.
And depending on what was happening right before you got that phone call, what mood were you in? Like, were you already in did you just have a beautiful romantic experience that made you very happy and filled you with endorphins? And then the phone call's like, whatever, lady, you're crazy. Or did somebody else piss you off right before you got the phone call, right? So where were you before that happened? So
correct.
It's all a complex and dynamic life,
right?
Weaving all these pieces together.
So what are your thoughts going back to, again, I'm obsessed telepathy tapes. I can't stop thinking about
it. Oh my God. I love
yes. So if any of you are curious, the telepathy tapes you can find them on YouTube. They're free over there.
Yep.
And the first, they were born, that were created to shed light on nonverbal autistic kiddos. Right. Now, working with kids and teaching, we're both teachers, right? It really shed a whole different perspective, because I communicate with kids that maybe cannot verbalize things that for whatever reason, or we communicate through movement, we communicate through understanding and energy. And I find it, so I found this whole thing very fascinating of how these autistic children were able to, and adults, nonverbal, were able to communicate, but had information coming in from a different place, I guess. And so that's the whole premise of the telepathy tapes. I know a lot of people have different opinions on if they should even exist, or whatever, but I'd love to hear just your initial thoughts on this, because I know you've listened to all of them. You're all caught up. I'm only in episode 4, or I just finished episode 4.
You're not that far behind, I don't think.
And no, I'm in season 2, episode 4. So yeah. I'm getting close.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts? What were your initial thoughts and takeaways being a scientist and understanding energy in that whole different way from that side of your brain?
So I loved every second of it. I could have listened to 1,000 more hours of it. Just give me more. Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah.
First of all, I think it's insulting to think that children with autism aren't in there.
Right.
Period. They're in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the pushback was on the speller part, where they point to the letters or point to, and it's like, why would it takes a really big ego on an adult side to say there's no way they can do that. Like, F you.
Right.
Why would you say that? If they're spelling out sentences on their own, why would you think they're not? Like, that's a whole other dysfunction, family type of why would you? It's like saying, anyway, that's a whole sidebar.
I know that.
I can go in 200 directions. Yeah. So we are Homo sapiens, right? We are humans. We have been humans for 300,000 years ish, give or take.
Give or take.
When what do you think has happened to our brains over this time, right? We have a very well developed big brain, right? Why would you think if someone has autism, if they can get up and get dressed, or if they can, feed themselves and brush their teeth, why wouldn't they be able to have thoughts in their mind?
Right.
So I definitely, and I know people could be like, well, some of them can't do that. That doesn't mean they can't think. Quadriplegics can think. And Stephen Hawking was in a wheelchair almost his entire life.
Right.
One of the most genius people in the world. So,
right.
And he was a speller.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He got to the point where he had to use his eyes because his body had shut down. He had to use his eyes to spell on the computer. And he wrote books that way. So give me a break with all this.
Right.
Say, kids can't do it, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So they're in there. I believe they're in there. And also, I love the part somewhere in the telepathy tapes, they talked about how, or this may have been on another follow-up podcast, where our senses of telepathy increase when we don't have other senses we can use, right? So these kids, they're nonverbal, right? So they can't talk. So they increase their other senses. So when it's like a traumatized person increasing their other senses. So when you can't use one sense, you can use another. Somebody who can't hear, their vision gets better. Somebody who can't see, their hearing gets better, right? And so we all evolutionarily have telepathy. We all have intuition. We have all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
We evolved with those senses. Modern society, when we built houses, deadened those instincts that we all have access to. So it is in our DNA to have access to other things.
Right.
And we are having a mass awakening right now. And so those other senses are turning on for many, many people. And these children, because they were nonverbal, they had to turn these other senses on. So they couldn't communicate face to face with people. So they were turning on these senses. And so you and I know as mediums, what's out there?
Yes.
Everything. And so when they go to this place they call the Hill, which is where all of these children and young adults and probably adults now, they go there telepathically to talk to each other. We know that. We do that every day. Not me and you together. We could if we wanted.
Yes, we could. That could be a fun experiment.
If we wanted to. But we are talking to loved ones in spirit every day through our mediumship. It's the same thing. Right. And why wouldn't they be able to access that?
That was my thought. And the amount of pushback that I've seen as a result, even people dropping in, okay, now then they turn it into religion. Well, the Bible doesn't say, well, next. And then we just move on from that. And
the Bible says a lot of stuff. Have you read the Old Testament?
Oh, right.
See, people push back on me and say, read the Bible. Honey, I read the Bible multiple times.
You've taught in like,
I taught in a Catholic school for 20 years. Trust me, I've read the Bible many times. You should read the Bible because it ain't what you think it is.
Right. But, the people that don't believe that we can go to those places telepathically, that those places don't exist, that they're somehow made up. But I was fascinated because they were looking at the data that this was happening all over the world. They were interviewing people from all over the world that the nonverbal people, children and adults, would go to the Hill. They called it the same thing. Right. And I was fascinated by that because, I'm a sucker for a good experiment, and doing research. So I was just mind blown just by that alone. But then as the tapes go further on, I'm like, oh, now we're just really deep diving. Oh my gosh. It's just made me question everything, not question everything, but I had an experience, and you had commented on the video, which was what I was like, oh girl, we're talking about this. We're totally talking about this. Several years ago, where I was in hypnosis, my higher self is channeling through for a client, specifically asking. It wasn't, I was out searching. A client had paid myself and a facilitator to do this, asking specifically about their nonverbal autistic child. And I didn't. Now, let me lay the groundwork for this, though. When I first started doing this technique, the multidimensional healing by or hypnosis by proxy, I had a facilitator that put me into hypnosis, a very deep state of hypnosis, and I'm completely checked out. And she would make the initial contact with the clients, get the questions for the clients. I would never know their name. I would never know their questions ahead of time. And it was truly an experiment for us. Like the first year we did it, it was free. We were just doing it as an experiment to see what kind of feedback we were getting, or if it was even legit, right? And there was this one client was like, what about the doctors have poo-pooed on all my theories. And so all this information drops in, and I'm talking about everything that they were talking about in the telepathy tapes. And I was just mind blown. And going back to the there was a whole episode on multidimensional reality, and those higher beings are the energies that embody or animate us, period. Dropping in, being able to go elsewhere. So I don't know. It's been an interesting validation listening to those tapes.
Yeah.
But then again, seeing the people that are just based in fear, that are just, nope, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. I'm like, how do you know?
Yeah. Well, that's ego. That's ego, 100%. Yes. And I want to say, I want to take a left turn here for 1 second, because
let me buckle up.
This is going to make everything even wilder this morning.
Perfect. We love a wild ride.
So you were talking about, the collective and the higher consciousness and channeling. I was on the Jeff Mara podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he asked me repeatedly to channel an alien. Now, I have resisted doing this for years because of my astronomy background. And I thought, I know too much about space. It's going to be like, I'm going to bring in my knowledge and blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So I have a very important loved one who counsels me on these things. And she said, it's time. And I was like, I did not expect to hear you say that, but okay.
Okay.
We're going to try it. So my opinion, though, is on channeling an alien, and nothing crazy came out, but I think because we all vibe on the level we're at, that we're going to attract those souls. Like, you're not going to attract a serial killer in a reading, probably, right? Because you're not.
I hope not.
You're not on that vibe, right?
Not. Right.
So I think that all of humans and all of the aliens in the universe are sentient beings. We've all lived on alien planets, other planets for sure. We've lived lives there. All of our souls are in the same spirit world. It's not like there's a separate spirit world for Proxima B, which is our nearest neighbor planet. That's not in our solar system. They don't have a separate spirit world. The Andromeda Galaxy aliens don't have a separate spirit world. It's all the same. It's all the same spirit world.
Right.
So that's how I kind of justified this channeling. And it wasn't any different than probably, anything else you'd hear me say. As some things may have been a little different. Some things surprised even me, but it wasn't anything like crazy. Right. But it's, when you have telepathy and you're going to the hill, you're a living person, but your consciousness can still talk to all the other conscious. We could do it. Anybody could do it. Right. The CIA started the remote viewing and the psychic work 70 years ago. Read up on the gateway process.
Yep.
and all of that. So why wouldn't we be able to connect with the spirit of a sentient being that lives on another planet. And it could have been a sentient being from 1 billion years ago. It could have been 30 sentient beings from 200 years in the future. It's all the same because there's no time in the universe.
Right. And that was the point. That was one of the downloads that I got in that session too, is that there is no time. You just are. So
Right.
you could actually be talking to a future version of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Your spirit guide could be you, just in a different timeline.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So in that, ultimately, it all goes back to the same consciousness, which is what we would call God, universe, whatever you want to label it as.
It's all the same.
It's all the same. I don't necessarily see it as an old man with a crooked finger yelling at me, I'm going to send you to hell, young lady. You know, it's not like that. I don't see that. But that collective energy, and I don't know that we're really ever meant to truly understand that as the human.
Right. And, you know, that's a good point because, and that's why the people who are poo-pooing all of this stuff with their big, giant egos, they're the ones that are going to learn the biggest lessons. Their karma is going to come in hard, but not everybody is meant to evolve in this life. So we need the poo-pooers and the big egos because that's the lesson for us to learn how not to be. Anybody,
and those poo-pooers came in to be an antagonist on purpose. They could be the most enlightened being on the other side, but come in so they can be like, I'm going to challenge you. And we're going to see if you can overcome that challenge.
Right. And this is one of the things, that's a good point. One of the things that my clients can have a hard time understanding is, in this life, I may be this nice lady, mostly, you know.
I have my days.
Whenever I freak out, my husband's like, I thought you were Peaceful Nik. I'm like, I'm a human.
Right.
but
today I'm Gangster Nik. What are you talking about? You're talking to me. What?
You don't grow up in San Francisco and not have a little gangster side, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So my clients have a hard time understanding that I might be nice in this life, but I could have been a horrible person in another life.
Yeah.
You know, the people who traumatized me may have been wonderful people in a different life, and I may have traumatized them.
Right.
So we don't all, just like you said, the poo-pooer may be a very enlightened being coming here to, you know, give us a lesson.
Right. And it's up to us and how we take that lesson and expand on it. How does our soul grow from it? Do we let it break us? Do we expand and teach others? Like what do we do with that opportunity to learn? And, you know, when my dad passed, he and I did not have a relationship. He was not a good person. And my mentor, Reverend Glenda, when I was like, listen, I'm mad that there's no hell right now. Because I feel like if there was one, I know where he'd be. But now he gets to be all love and light over there. And I don't think I like that. And she says, you know, one way you can just process all of that is just to ask, what is it you learned from his existence here? And that really made me step back and go, immediately, I was like, how not to be. And she said, whether it was his mission in this lifetime to that way, or whether he just derailed and just made bad choices, whatever that is, you can only take what you learned.
Right. Exactly.
And how do you make your life better as a result of it?
Exactly. I want to say hi to Tammy and Meandering said, just lost my dog. She was ill. Is she happier in heaven? All souls, all dogs go to heaven.
All of them.
And they're free of any bodily pain they're in. So please know that your dog is safe and at peace. And every time I see a dog in the spirit world, they're running through long grass and chasing the bugs every single time. They're just like, I'm happy. You're fine. Exactly.
Well, you know, one of those, go ahead.
I wanted to talk about acquired savant syndrome on the telepathy tapes. So one of the skeptical people will say, "Oh, none of this telepathy is real, blah blah blah." Which there's so much evidence now, it's ridiculous. Like
Right.
there's so many
Right.
studies now, like it's real. Obviously, we know
Right.
it's real. But one of the things that they point to in scientific studies to prove that these supernatural and metaphysical things happen is acquired savant syndrome, which
Mhm.
means someone's just going along in their daily life and gets some type of injury or illness, and they wake up with some incredible part of their brain turned on and become a concert pianist or an
Right.
incredible artist that
Right.
the one guy that could fly over a city once and memorize every nook and cranny of the entire city and paint it from
Yes.
memory, which that person didn't have before. Artwork, math, having an eidetic memory, like all of these things
Yes.
can be acquired. So that proves we have access to all of this in our brain if we train it to do it, right?
Right.
And that's what we do in mediumship. We get developed, well, we do, you and I do, and all of the colleagues we work with do.
Yeah.
There are some non-trained, non-developed mediums on social media. So please vet your medium if you're booking
Right.
a reading. Don't pay anybody $500 or $5,000 to get an evil spirit off of you.
Right.
And don't answer any social media private messages.
Correct. It's not us.
That's
Just to be
not us.
clear, we are not messaging you currently, nor will we later.
Right, correct. If you want a reading, you will book on our legitimate website or email us and ask us questions.
Right.
That's,
I
so
love
don't
it.
get scammed. So acquired savant syndrome is incredible and just such proof that we have the ability to turn certain parts of our brain on.
Right. Well, and I think this is where that deep dive comes in. Is it something that's within us, or is it energetically outside of us? And in in that same savant conversation, there was a gentleman that had been beaten up outside of a karaoke bar and near death. But when he came back, all of a sudden he saw things in like a grid or in pictures. He didn't have full motion. Everything was in stopped pictures. And to hear him talk about how he saw things, but then all of a sudden, like this knowledge and understanding of physics and this all of how it works. And that's never been his life.
Right.
It was fascinating to me to hear. And he's about like tubular things. I'm like, I so got D's in that class. There's a reason I went to school for doing
things and like all these angles. Is that the same one?
Yeah.
Yes.
And seeing things from that energy as we are energy, or we're like this holographic version. And I was like, oh, that would track. I feel like, especially, and then taking all that and going back to mediumship. And he even said, if that's the case, we have access to all of those things that are happening now, that have happened already, that are going to happen in what we perceive as future. It's all there.
Right. It's all there. We have access. It's the same thing with manifesting. It's the same thing with manifesting. I talk a lot about manifesting. Actually, my podcast that comes out tomorrow, it's called the Soul Twin Stars podcast. I have a co-host, Lady Shadow, and tomorrow our guest is talks about wishing. It's this whole wish thing. It's kind of like manifesting, but wish is a nicer word. And we have access to everything. We don't have to sit in a cubicle and type our little brains out and listen to somebody tell us, you've got to work overtime. Oh, you want to get that double overtime? You can buy your kids that bicycle, all that stuff.
Right.
We don't have to be trapped in the world society tells us we have to be trapped in. We have access to everything we need. We can pull things in we need from the universe through manifesting, but you have to be in the right state of mind. You have to set your intention. You have to do the work. You can't just sit there and wish $1 million is going to fall in your lap, right? Like you have to do the work and you have to allow yourself to receive. That's the part a lot of people forget. Oh, I deserve this. Okay, here it comes. So
Right.
I see it as, remember those, there was a game show or something where somebody would stand in this tube and all the dollars would fly around.
I remember that. Yeah.
So
And
when yeah, exactly. When I manifest and I want something from the universe, I imagine myself like in that tube, but reaching out to the universe, pulling everything in I need. So I kind of visualize it that way. I don't know why. That's just what came in
I
my
love that. That's a great way to look at it.
So you asked earlier about something, and it made me think of you said, is it out there or in here?
Yes. Is it out there? Is it in our brain?
So there's
a certain way, or is it actually out there and we connect to it?
So I think there's a combination of things. The structure of our brain and the way we can learn like facts and things and history and math and all of that kind of in the structure of our brain, the ability to do that. But everything else is non-local. Our consciousness is non-local. That's why our consciousness can reach out into the universe and grab the things it wants and learn what it wants. My mentor said she was fully trained by her spirit guides. And she was amazing. I learned.
And I believe that can happen. I don't think you don't have to go, which we were talking about earlier. You don't have to just go get a degree in mediumship to be a legit medium.
Right.
You can, as long as you remain ethical. I think there's validity to that. But yeah, you're right. I know a number of people.
Remain ethical, everybody. That's the most important part.
Yes.
Do no harm. Healing for the greater good. Leave your client better than you found them.
Yep.
All of those things are important.
Right.
So our consciousness, the souls we have in our body and the souls in the universe, our loved ones in spirit, and people's oversouls, right? People who are alive. You can heal a relationship. You said you had a tumultuous relationship with your father who's now passed. My father's living. We don't have a really good relationship at all. I can heal our relationship as he's alive through our oversoul, right? Yeah. You could heal your relationship with your dad if you ever chose in spirit.
Right.
Because as a medium, his soul was not who his human was.
Right.
And that's very hard because there are people.
It's hard to separate those two.
Right. There are people living who traumatize me a lot. And it's very hard to accept for anybody who's been abused or traumatized that that's the human, not the soul.
Not the soul.
And it's very hard to accept that.
Right. Right. I think that was the biggest part of my grief when he died. Had nothing to do with him dying, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
I was kind of like, actually cool, because now he's not hurting any more people, And then I had to deep dive that. I'm like, am I a bad person because I just celebrated that? But
no, you're not.
No, I know that now. That was back in 2021. That'll be in my book for sure. That whole story around my dad's death was insane to me. It's a great story. So another thing that, so anyway, we're talking about the savant, like the just happens, or people that are like Rain Man, born with that. And I remember, that was in the 90s, wasn't it? Was that the late 80s, early 90s that came out?
Somewhere in there.
And honestly, like, until I saw that movie, I didn't know people like that existed, because it just wasn't in my world.
Right. Well, unless you knew somebody,
right?
Like unless you knew somebody personally, most people probably weren't aware that people with savant syndrome existed.
Right.
I don't know if they ever said what his diagnosis was, but I'm sure it was some type of autism or Asperger's or somewhere on the spectrum for sure.
Right. Yeah. I don't remember either. It's been a long time.
I want to talk about a story real quick. Can I tell a story?
do.
I never do story time.
Stories.
I never do story time, but I have a really good story. And it's about our loved ones in spirit giving us signs.
I love
And
it.
I'm a big fan of that whole thing because my mom died when I was 15, suddenly, unexpectedly, and I've gotten signs from her my whole life, even well before I was a medium. And I have a brother-in-law, David, who my husband was very close to. They were very, close brothers. I was very close to him. He was very close to our family. He was a Methodist minister. We had political different opinions, but
happens. Okay.
But we were very close with David, and he passed away in 2016. So before the dark times. So our political differences before were normal political differences.
Right.
The dark times hadn't happened yet.
Right. There's a difference between I believe in tax breaks and
I believe in the things that are believing in now. But anyway, so the story is David passed away, and David was a very stubborn, stoic person. He was born with health issues. He had health issues his whole life. He lived probably 25 years longer than he should have. And my husband and I, everywhere we go, the sign from David is we go to Starbucks, David's in line in front of us. Sometimes there's two Davids in line in front of us. They call it David. We went to a restaurant the other day. The host was David. Go to the grocery store. The guy checking us out is David. And this has happened an enormous amount of times, like way more times than you can.
And I don't know that many Davids, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. So my husband's like, it's a common name. I go, how many times you see Michael? Michael's the most common name for men. I never see a Michael. So
it's always
slow your roll, buddy. And so my husband started noticing it. I'm like, no, to pay attention everywhere we go. And so last week or the week before, I went to Hollywood Studios because we live right by Disney World, and we go and we'll walk around. We'll go on a couple rides, have lunch, and come home. It's a nice little break from reality.
Right.
And so we go on Tower of Terror. So
I love Tower of Terror.
I could go on that ride 100 times in a row.
I love it. I love it.
So we go on Tower of Terror. I've been on that ride so many times, I can't even count. I've never been on it when it's broken down, ever. And I've been on it a million times. And the other day, it broke down right at the end, right when you pull up to get out, it broke. And we're like, oh, and we weren't scared because we've been on it so many times. We knew, but there was people on there who hadn't been on it before, like, now what's going to happen? Oh my God.
No.
Like, it's fine. They're going to come get us. Don't worry about it. So we're just sitting there kind of chit-chatting with the people, and the lights turn on and we get to see all the stuff you can't see in the dark.
Yeah.
It's cool. And this older gentleman walks up to move the cart and let us out. And my husband looks at me. He goes, his name is David. And I took pictures of him, and I'm going to make a separate video with the picture of his name tag. And the odds of us breaking down in that moment, that person being at work at that time,
that moment.
And as I said, I've been on that ride literally hundreds of times over the past 30 years. And that the man's name was David. And it's just, and my husband going, his name is David, which was so cute.
That is hilarious, actually. I could have that moment of, oh, not Michael. His name's not Michael.
Not Bill, not Tom.
Bill. Mm-mm. Nope.
David. Again. Again.
And that was a big way to show it up too, like let's, not only are we going to have David help you, we're going to stop the whole ride.
Right. Right. Exactly. And my husband's in the middle of manifesting something big right now. And so I think it's super cool because him and his brother were super close.
Yeah.
I think it's super cool that he showed up for him in that moment, in that way. Like that's
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. And so you and I, before we went live, we were talking about Dr. Laura Lynn Jackson, who's featured on the telepathy tapes. But also what I thought was cool was I've been basically selling her book to everybody for years. Signs when there's when you have a client who's just really grief stricken, is like they want to pay me to let them know that their loved one's okay, and I want to teach them how to do that themselves. Like, sure, if you want to throw money at me, great. However, let's not. Let me teach you. Let me teach you how to find the signs and ask for signs and learn how to recognize the signs. And that's what that book is about. And so finally today, for the first time ever, because I'm listening to her episode before we meet, I'm getting ready and I'm listening to her episode, and then her follow-up episode, the follow-up tape where they're talking to her family. I'm like, all right, I'm going to Google her. Holy crap. First of all, we could be sisters. She has the same glasses I do, long blonde hair, same everything. Like one of her kids is named Aiden or Hayden. My son's name is Aiden. Two sisters. Like, it was wild. I'm like, okay.
Synchronicity.
I know.
And you look like my sister. I showed you that picture on the last time we went live together. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to say hi to Lisa Davies. She's new to both of us.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here, Lisa, and I'm sure. And if you talk to Vivian, she'll tell you the news. The feed on YouTube will take you where you need to go. It's like they're reading our minds.
It's like telepathy.
It's like telepathy, right? I almost feel like we are sending out energy to our devices and our news feeds. Like, and you know what I want to say? When I am watching YouTube in my office here to prepare for my readings, I put on HemiSync and all that, all the good stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm putting my makeup on in my little room over here and da 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 da. Every time I stand up and walk away, a commercial pops on. I think they have a sensor. Do you notice that?
I do too. Because then I'll walk away. I'll go do whatever. And then as soon as I walk away, I have to come back and like skip the ad.
Yes, exactly. I swear there's a sensor in the camera where they see the movement. Same thing in my living room on my TV. My husband doesn't believe there's cameras on the TV. I'm like, there's definitely sensors on the TV. That's in fact, we've known that for a long time. Like, that's a thing. Right. If I walk from my living room into the kitchen, commercial pops on.
Yeah.
Every time. It's crazy. Good morning, Carol. So, the telepathy tapes, awesome.
So good. Well, and I like in season 2, it's not just about the autism. They go into the media, talking about mediums. So what's interesting is I take a class a couple times a month on Saturdays with my mentor and a whole classroom of just freakishly amazing mediums. I'm the baby in the group when it comes to experience in mediumship and taking classes and stuff. And I'm just mind blown at the depth in which these people function. I'm honored to be in the room. So I love taking everything in. And I'm going to actually have he and his wife on the show, Daryl and Martha Schoon. Daryl is a New York Times bestselling author. His story is absolutely fascinating. Just 2 weeks ago, before I started listening to the telepathy tapes, a couple weeks ago in our last class, he was talking about how there were ideas that came into him that he did nothing with. And this is one of the episodes, like creative consciousness and an idea actually taking on living form. It doesn't matter where it's coming from at this point. Like, who knows where it's coming from? But an idea is floating on the breeze. If it comes to you and you do nothing with it, it's going to go to somebody else.
Yes.
How many times have you had an idea and for whatever reason didn't act on it, and then you see it come to life somewhere else?
I have one.
So many times.
I want to tell you this, okay? I've had
Okay.
several, and my sister's also had a major one. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy and stupid, but whatever. In the
We
90s,
live for crazy and stupid. That's what we do.
I liked herbal medicine a lot.
Okay.
Okay.
Herbal medicine. Okay.
Yeah. And so I was medicated, and I was mopping the floor, and I'm like, this is a pain in the ass. Like, so I put rags on the bottom of my feet, and I'm just walking around the kitchen when I could balance myself because I was younger and not a fall risk. So I'm like, oh my God, big ideas, right?
Yeah.
Mop socks, make mop socks.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, a couple years later, I was at the grocery store, Walmart or somewhere, they had mop socks. And now they sell them all the time. Well, I was so medicated that I didn't have the wherewithal to do anything with it. So, you know, the 90s, that's how we were back then. And my sister had the idea of the Ring doorbell in the 90s and actually went to an appointment with the idea in St. Louis to this invention place and pitched it to them. And they're like, no, that's a terrible idea.
Wow. Wow.
She goes, what if you could leave a voicemail at somebody's front door? Because, you know, people used to go to people's houses back in the day.
Right. And then if you didn't have piece of paper and something that somebody could blow away if you did. Right.
And she had that idea, and she could be, you know, a billionaire now. But
they couldn't get picked up. Wow.
They probably do that to a lot of people. No, that's a bad idea. And guess what? Now it's on everybody's door.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Wow. Well, we were just talking about that. And even I've had that happen with choreography.
Oh, she chimed in. She goes, yes, she called it the Dormax 2000.
Yeah. Interesting. That's crazy. Well, I would have choreography ideas come in, and I just wouldn't either know how to do it, or I wouldn't have the people to set it on, or I didn't have the bandwidth or any way to do anything with it in that moment. And then I would see almost the exact same piece concept to the same music like 2 months later.
Mm-hmm. Paul McCartney told a story about how
he's on there. Mm-hmm.
How the song
was it Let It Be?
Yeah, Mother Mary came to me, and people thought it was the Virgin Mary, but it was his mother Mary who came to him in a dream and gave him the song.
Yep.
Channeling. I used to write, well, I still do. I write articles for the Mars organization. I've written them since 2012. So how many ever years that is. And this was before I was a medium, and I'd sit down at the computer in the corner of my living room. And I just type blah, 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 blah. And then I'd submit it to the Mars people, and they'd publish it. And then I'd go back, you know, a couple of weeks later and look at it. And I'm like, I don't even remember typing that. I don't remember a word of that. I don't even know where that came from.
Yeah.
And I used to tell my husband, I feel like I'm not the one writing those articles. Like,
you're not.
Like, yeah. So I'm thinking I was channeling all of that stuff. Same thing with when I got my master's degree and I had to write my culminating project about life on Mars. If anybody needs to know anything about Mars, I'm an expert.
Got it.
Any Mars information, let me know. And it was just like information just flowing through. And that was before ChatGPT when I got my master's degree. So
there you go.
It actually was actual information I had to research. So.
Wow. Yeah. I need to bully my higher self into channeling my book, because my human brain sits down and I'm like,
yeah,
once upon, there is no stream of consciousness that everybody talks about. And then I have these moments of paranoia now where I'm like, but as I'm revisiting, I've listened to this episode about stream of consciousness and it'll leave your brain. I'm like, oh, I wonder how many major things I've missed because I didn't act on it.
But it's still there. You still have access to all of it. Don't worry about it.
Someone else got it patented already. So
I see.
You see what I'm saying?
I'm talking about your book.
Oh yeah, the book,
So
that's
what
my
I would,
story. No one else could write that book.
I
It's
would
just
say you need a month to where you don't have to do anything else. And I don't know if that's possible with your
It's not.
schedule. So, or just set aside a couple of days a week where everything else just has to
Mhm.
be on pause a couple
Right.
of days a week. And Aunt Jen was there when I had the mop sock idea, and she's chiming in. She says mop socks. So I'm glad you're here. Carol said, before I retired, I was a hotel manager and my housekeeping staff would use socks to clean, I guess, the
Yep.
floors. She's saying awesome. Lisa Davy said, Viv, wow, I started my awakening in May 24 and have been struggling to find my answers ever since. Email me, Lisa. I have a million videos on YouTube. Start there with mediumship. Information and learning, that playlist. Email me, peacefulnikthemedium@gmail.com, and I can send you some links to get you started. Hi, Brian. Brian Christ said good
Yep.
morning.
Brian. Yep. I know Brian. Brian's one of my people, one of my regulars.
I have to go in a couple of minutes because I have to get ready for my readings,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
have
Yep.
a Mars meeting in between. So that's
It's a thing. It's you're just as busy as I am, girlfriend.
yeah. People think when I say Mars meeting, I don't think they understand the planet Mars, but yes, I'm referring to the planet Mars.
Planet.
To a planet. I've been working on a human mission to Mars since 2012 with the Mars Society, and you can look me up on their website.
You're famous. Look at
well,
you.
I mean, I don't want to be famous, but I just love science and expanding humanity. My tagline is humans to Mars as a bridge to the stars, because the sun has a finite life and we're going to have to learn to live somewhere else because the sun ain't going to live forever. Or we're just not going to live forever because we're stupid.
There's that. There's that.
That may be, we may be coming to that sooner than later.
Sooner than we want. Right, right. Well, I am so appreciative of you coming on and spending time with us and talking science and mediumship and all the things. And so, yeah, so y'all make sure you're following, subscribing to Nik's channel. You've got
Lorenda's, for those watching on my side, please follow Lorenda on YouTube. Is that where you're?
I'm on all the places. Yep. Mostly a lot of YouTube and the Tickety Talks. If you're in that world, I spend a lot of time there too. So yeah, definitely. I do this show every week and I'm going to stay on for another hour here, and keep chit chatting and probably do some readings. And I'd love to have you back anytime, Nik. I know.
Awesome. I'm going to have you on my podcast probably the end of March. If you're available to record, I'll send you an email.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you, everybody. I will see you all later. I got to get to do all my other
all your other things.
Yeah. Thank you, Lorenda.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. I don't know how to leave.
I can.
I guess.
Just turn it off.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Bye. That was so awesome, you guys. I love her, Peaceful Nik. So just so you guys know, she is on the TikTok world, but she doesn't spend as much time there. And so she and I connect very well. I've actually been on in her Zoom lives where we do readings and stuff. And she's a really great person to collaborate with. So I really appreciate her coming in and spending time and hanging out. So so that was fun. Yeah, we were talking about the telepathy tapes and my journey through that, because I got to talk about everything out loud that I'm doing, just in case people are wondering. So I think I really would like to have my friend Daryl on, who was just talking about collective consciousness and ideas as living, breathing being, or, as a living thing, because it's energy. Thoughts are things, right? So if you look at manifesting and thoughts are things, why would it not be like maybe an idea floating through the consciousness or through the ethers or whatever it is that we don't quite understand yet? Or maybe we're just not meant to understand. I don't know. What do you guys think? Tell me what your thoughts are on, do you think as humans, we are meant to understand? the idea of collective consciousness or God, universe, other side, time, all those concepts that are just so weird to us that our brains cannot process as normal humans. Do you think we're supposed to? Do you think we're supposed to just always be tuned into the other side? Do you think it's a process of evolution where that we don't feel those connections a lot of times? I don't know. What are your thoughts? I have a lot of thoughts, but I want to hear some of yours. I want to see some feedback. What do you all think? I'll wait. What are your thoughts? Love to hear. I'm hoping y'all are typing frantically. Lisa Lemon, Mac Daddy Mars. And hi, Rosemary. Hello, friends. Joe Boxers. Let's see what else. Who else we have in here saying hi on the TikTok world? We aren't meant to know everything. It's too overwhelming for humans. I feel they want us to balance everything. I think it's always growing, so we will always be growing also. Not everyone is going to be able to believe in the world. Very true. I agree with literally all the things you guys are saying. What do you all think? What do y'all think in the YouTube and Facebook world? I feel because of the work I do in past life regression and the conversations I've had with people's higher selves, my own higher self, I believe that we just come here. This is what Nikki and I were talking about earlier. We think we come here with certain missions, purpose to step into this experience. And maybe that experience is not, we don't choose in this experience to engage in that other side or have that belief system. We might be the antagonist in a story, right? I think that when we are ready to learn about the other side, then our minds become open to it, but we are still meant to live and learn from the human experience. That's what I believe that too, Amy. Brian says, as we are ready, enable a spiritual evolution. Yep, I'm with you on that too. And, I look at it as I wanted so badly to be psychic or a medium. I wanted so badly to know for sure there was another side, and I wanted proof of it growing up. Even through having kids, I knew it existed. I just didn't know how to access it. And I thought you had to have a special gift or a switch or something that not everybody had. But I had to go through life. I think when I look back, I had to go through life. That was my chosen experience. I had to also set the other people in my life up for their own experiences before I could go off on a tangent and live my other life, right? As a spiritual person. I think it's there for us to understand, but there is more in the syllabus to learn first. Weird. That's what I was just saying. We may get bits of it, but there is so much more than we will ever know or understand as humans. I agreed. Our souls need us to have the human experience to learn a lesson or evolve more. Yes. I think that because our society was built out of fear, we have a difficult time being open to our connections with our guides. Correct. I'm with you on that. I feel that as well. Hi, Texas Peach. But then there's this other, there's so many things I could talk about. Living our lessons or learning our lessons as humans now. And at what point do we finally get to access that information? And there are people that will go their entire lives and never access that. Or they will access it, but not understand the energy connection that they've accessed. They'll think it's just their own genius, their own brain, their own mind. I have a friend come to me with, why are we doing this? I told her it's because human experience. Yeah, I agree. I think we come here with an intention to learn, whether that's our higher self, or what if we are just the product of some being's imagination? Whether you call that God, universe, creator, whatever you call it. What if we are just an imagined, something they imagined, embodied? But what if, like when we were kids playing Barbies, there's the good guy, the bad guy, and they converse with each other. And we were learning as kids in that playtime, right? So what if we are like that person's Barbies? I think I thought that as a kid. I remember thinking that as a kid. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. Hi, Pam. That what if we are someone else? We are not real. What if we are someone else's playthings? What do y'all think of that? What if we are someone else's imagined playland? Yeah. So what do y'all think? What if whatever we believe is truth? And I think that's a huge statement. And I think there's merit to that. My kids say we're in a simulator. And you begin to wonder those things, right? You begin to wonder the more you deep dive into energy and again, going back to listening to the telepathy tapes that I'm obsessing over right now, understanding that there's just so much more that we don't understand. Thanks, Pam. Yeah, that's right. You know what? You knew me back in my early motorcycle days where I would get the helmet friendly haircut. I do all the time with their questions. I've been dealing with my human experience more than allowing spirit or higher self to guide me. Maybe it's just my human part of me looking to answers and healing. Oh, it jumped. Or reasons things happen and not allowing spirit or higher self to see the lesson. Ooh, that's a really good point, Amy. I think when we try to muscle through, and also, Amy, you and I come from the same generation of God helps those who help themselves. That's what we were told. Like you got to pull yourself by the bootstraps. You got to do everything yourself. You have to power through yourself. If you can't do it yourself, then you're weak. And I think sometimes when we get caught up in our human experience, we start doubting our ability to handle business. And that if we can't figure it out ourselves, then somehow we're broken or weak or not good enough. Where really, if you go from a spiritual point of view, if you allow spirit to come in or collective consciousness, whatever it is, if you can allow, then it allows for those lessons to come and go a lot faster. The whole concept that we are souls having a human experience was a big surprise to me. I started my awakening at 59. Wow. Okay. So, and see, I've felt like I've always kind of known it. I don't know how I knew it though. Good morning from Chicago. Well, hello. Good morning in Chicago, Lady Luck. I believe we're going through a spiritual evolution at this time. Absolutely. Age of Aquarius. And that we're meant to know about the other side. 20 years ago, mediumship wasn't really talked about. I would agree with you. I think that it helped having people like Sylvia Brown, John Edward, even, now Teresa Caputo. I think it helped having people bring that into awareness in such a public way. And now if you go into TikTok or any platform, mediums and readers are a dime a dozen. We're everywhere. Our role is to teach the one source, one force through our life experiences. And you know what, sweet tea? I think there's validity to that. We are the imagined version of some other larger consciousness. But I feel like we still have free will. We still have choices. Until then, I never really gave spirituality a second thought. Right. Yeah. So I have a birthmark. When I look at it, it reminds me like a memory to remember. That's interesting. I have one on my neck that I'm like, I'm convinced that was left over from another life. So I think this is all so fascinating to me. You're not a dime a dozen. Aw, thank you very much, Tashina. You're right. I'm not. I'm a tap dancing psychic biker chick. How many of those do you know? It's a heart on your right hand. That's cool. What a cool birthmark. I love that. Thank you all for engaging in these conversations, by the way. I love it. I grew up as an atheist, but somehow deep down, I always knew there are more than just our physical world. Absolutely. And so, thanks, Pam. And I think that's where, when we're younger, when we're teenagers, when we're in our 20s, our brains do, as they're wrapping up the development in our early 20s, as they're wrapping up development, I do believe that a lot of us start making that shift of understanding, like, there's something bigger here. There's something bigger. What is my purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing with my life? We all go through that. But then you have to ask yourself, why? Why do we go through that? Why is it that that's in our awareness and consciousness? Is that something that's given to us to make us curious? Right? Or is it that we finally start realizing there's something outside of just our own egos? When my kids were little, I used to tease, but it was a way to get them thinking. I used to say, what if, okay, we're waiting for the rest. See, days like today, listening to your show and guests, it helps me circle back to why things happen and seeing the bigger picture. Grateful for Spirit to use this as reassurance for me. Oh, I adore you, Amy. What if we are really just germs on someone's big toe? I've said the same thing. What if, and even if you go back to Horton Hears a Who, like the Dr. Seuss concepts, that in that little world, it's on a little tiny speck of dust. And as you zoom out, you see just how small that is. But in those moments, that world is everything. So what if our Earth, what if our existence here is literally just a speck of dust in someone else's giant reality? Hi, Roger. Good morning. Good to see you, my friend. And so I always feel bad for people who, yes, Horton Hears a Who. I always feel bad for people who limit themselves to a very, very narrow, small belief system. And it used to trigger me and get me mad when people would come at me with the Bible and the Bible says the Bible. Now I'm just like, wow, you're so close-minded. You're so narrow-minded. Everything is in this little box or it doesn't exist. But what if there's more than just that little teeny tiny speck of Bible belief, right? They still discuss this. Oh, that's funny. Can I get an amen? Yes, praise Jesus. I've channeled Jesus. He's cool. What are your thoughts on having past life visions after reconnecting with someone? I had that happen, and I think I freaked the guy out, actually. I didn't mean to. Sometimes I forget that not everybody thinks like I do. So when I say things out loud, they're just like, oh. All of a sudden, I've been having dreams about this person and then channeled a message for her unexpectedly. I've had that happen as well, Lady Luck. So you are not alone with that. Yes, Ladora. When I die, I don't want a funeral. I want a graduation party. Same. I expect bagpipes. I expect the Eagles playing at my funeral. Well, they're not going to be alive, but I want their music played. Yeah. Religious program. Yes. And I feel like that programming is what narrows us down. And then I feel like there's too many people that get the downloads that maybe that something is wrong with that thinking. But if they do that, then they have to deconstruct that. And then they have to like look at their family and go, wait, what you told me my whole life is wrong and you're wrong. And then people don't always have that bandwidth. It's just easier to go along to get along. Yep. To keep you small. It really is. It really is. Such a fascinating conversation. I'm so glad that to have had Nik on to get this conversation going. So if you have not listened to the telepathy tapes, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And my hope is that the more I talk about this, I mean, the tapes were originally an idea based on talking with nonverbal autistic children, or kiddos or adults, that had showed signs of telepathy, that were expressing somehow through spelling. And I do want to make it clear that I'm very well aware that we shouldn't be labeling. We should not be, a good friend of mine actually on TikTok made a comment, we do need to tread lightly with this. We don't want to put people in a box and make assumptions about everybody. And I am full agreement. I think it's smart, though, to at least have conversations, educated conversations, in spaces where we can ask hard questions and realize that, there's no single one expert in any of this. I don't think we're going to know until we're actually out of this body and on the other side where we have access to that knowledge. Not a fan of organized religion. They try to keep you in fear. That's how I feel as well. My thoughts on past lives are that they exist. I'm a QHHT practitioner. I put people into theta level hypnosis and they explore past lives. I've done it. I've done it for other people. There's healing in that. I've done mind, higher self to higher self. I offer a service actually, where I can do that for a person, where I can connect to your higher self without you even being actively involved in the moment. I can see your past lives and I can see what is feeding over into your current life. But also I'm starting to believe that, I believe that it's not that it's in the past, it's happening concurrently. So my life from the 1700s is happening now. Right? So if I am getting residual energy from that life happening, then I need to disconnect from it. Even little ladybugs are so important. Such a little blessing. Yes. And who doesn't love a good ladybug, right? They're good luck. I make sure to rescue all of them. I'm from New Orleans, so I want a second line in the French Quarter. But also, hi, niece. Niecey. It's not just 1700 to the present. It's happening all at once, which also means our future is happening. What if we are in the past? What if we chose to come into this timeline to help readjust things that did not work out? Hi, SP. Good morning. Or Saz. It's so weird to call you that. I know everybody else in your life calls you that, but you're SP to me. So many things have changed. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Carol says, hi, Lorenda. My grandson is autistic and nonverbal. I totally believe he sees spirits. So listen, Carol, I would encourage you to listen to the telepathy tapes. That's what it's all about. And I would love to if you want to pop back, make sure you're subscribing, pop back in and let me know if once you watch them, if you'd want to have a conversation about it. Like I am looking for people to have these conversations and their own experiences. My brother-in-law is my brother-in-law from previous marriage, is autistic, and he was nonverbal for the first few years of his life. And then just started talking in full sentences one day. It's like he just didn't have time to be bothered with any of it. And now he's like an adult. He's grown and a productive member of society and independent. But that's not what they saw for him because he couldn't talk. So there was clearly something wrong with him and he would never be on his own. And I think we don't give enough credit. So if you look at the made up calendar, January and February is made up so we could be behind. Wait, what? I'm confused. I need more information. Yes, the telepathy tapes are on the Tube of You. Yeah, it's free to listen to. Okay. I have a highly analytical mind. Hold on, let me go back. I have a highly analytical mind, but have said a lot of things since I was young without processing through my brain that came true or are coming true now. It's mind-boggling what is accessible. Thank you. And I believe that we get these downloads. The calendar is made up. It's just like somebody just realized there's a specific, somebody saw the patterns of the timelines, I think, or not the timelines, but the cycle, the Earth cycle. Okay. And so then it helped us understand. But yeah, I don't think that there's necessarily time. I think we just exist here. So I believe individuals with autism has a special reason why they are here. They are learning something and teaching something. The destinies are intertwined for this lifetime. I agree. And I do believe they are ushering in a new way of communicating. They are the future humans. That's my opinion. Because in this life, these people are awful. So I hope to live again and love and be loved right in the next life. Yes. Okay. It's funny. Someone mentioned the fire. A few months ago, I had a future life of mine connect with me in this life. Interesting. Thank you, by the way, for the little bits of insight on my family's souls after this life. You're welcome. You're welcome, Ellen. Oh, here we go. Let me go back. Okay. I joined late. How do we just access the telepathy tapes? Oh, they're on YouTube. Yeah, there's 2 seasons actually. He looks up at one certain area and smiles and laughs. I believe they can see spirits. And how old is your grandson, Carol? I think my daughter who has autism sees spirits too. She tells me that certain people say hi. Yes. And acts as she's talking to individuals at the time. Nisi, listen to the telepathy tapes. I'm telling you, it is mind-blowing. It is absolutely mind-blowing. Turtle's back. 13 months are on a turtle's back pattern. Interesting. Okay. 2 months they look out their words. I can't remember. I still think that I think that calendars and timelines are just helps us, I guess. Just helps us as humans process things. I'm going to take this off. My head is being squeezed. But look, I'm having a good hair day today. What? Except for that. If spirit is perfect as a whole and time is circular or all now rather than linear, are all of an individual's incarnations just pieces of that perfection that appear flawed when viewed individually. See, that's deep, Brian. I'm going to say that again. I want listen up, TikTok. I want you to hear this too. If spirit is perfect as a whole and time is circular or all now rather than linear, okay? Like we can't go back and change the past kind of situation, are all of an individual's incarnations just pieces of that perfection that appear flawed when viewed individually. I'm in Central Indiana, Lisa. Okay, hold on. Just helps us classify stuff. I agree. It was created to control for political reasons. Big. It is big and almost big hair, isn't it? Hold on. Y'all want to see sometimes if I don't straighten it, it looks like I've got 80s perm hair still. Right. Okay. So we're getting yeses in the deep. It's deep. Hi, Tammy. I fully believe that people who are autistic are very special and can see a whole lot more than we can. Yes. Kind of pinpoints things happening at times. And a friend of mine, Susan, she's also a medium and healer. She has 2 of her children are deaf. And thank you. And she talks about when, as parents, we have to learn to communicate when a child is missing a sense or missing one of their ways to be able to communicate, right? So they have to, like parents even intuitively learn how to connect and communicate. Astrology uses calendars, so maybe our calendar was formed and modified based on astrology. I do believe that. I believe that our calendar was based on cycle, recognize patterns and cycles, probably by savants, actually. Which is what Nikki and I were talking about earlier. She is awesome. Just a thought. I don't know all about astrology, but it's amazing how it pinpoints things happening at times. Yes. You miss her. She's on all the time. Actually, she might pop in at some point. Nicole Kidman, you know what's funny, Ellen, is I've heard that for years, since I was in my 20s when Nicole Kidman first came on. And if you could see my natural hair color, you'd be like, oh shit, they could be sisters. Like, no joke. If you go to my regular Facebook page, I believe I just reposted a show choir picture from 1988. And I'm standing with a cane. If you look at the picture, it's from 17 years ago that I posted it initially. It's all the way to the right. And I'm on the right. My hair is like really long and really curly and big because perms, but it's very red. You haven't been on TikTok for a while. Yeah. But she's my friend. Like, she'll text me. We text and talk on the phone and stuff. There was one morning I was like, she was like, let's have coffee together. Let's talk and catch up. So yeah, Susan is awesome. But she's got, she has kids that are deaf. And so she spent a lot of time in deaf school, like deaf and blind schools, and kids that were deaf and blind that, could not hear, could not see, but yet the mothers, they knew what their mothers were trying to get them to do. There was still an element of communication and telepathy, and understanding that there is communication beyond what we see and what we know for those of us with full ability to communicate, speaking, hearing, seeing, feeling, that there's more to it. There's more to it. Your great grandmother was deaf. And just seeing it in babies, seeing it in children, and how they adapt to the world around them. And this goes back to, if you've got, and again, I'm open to discussion. I'm not trying to put anybody in a box. I'm not trying to generalize at all. I'm just fascinated by the research that's being done on telepathy and how we're forced to communicate in certain ways. And even animal communication. There's a whole episode, 2 episodes actually, on animal communication. And there's one in season 1 and season 2. I'm just now to the point where my next episode to listen to is the season 2 version of animal communications. Yes, we communicate with our babies and animals. Yeah. I mean, babies don't understand English. Dogs don't come out understanding English, but they know what our intentions are. You know what I mean? Like, they understand our feelings. They pick up on that. So I think there's merit to this. Whether it's just intuition, whatever you want to call it, there is an energetic connection. It doesn't matter what the label is. I believe there's an energetic connection that we can't always explain. But more and more research is out there that seems to be explaining it. My puppy is mad at me. Took her to the groomer this morning. Oof. Mean daddy. You're so mean. What's funny is my dog is miserable. She acts like she's miserable getting to the groomers. But when I ask her if she wants to go see Cindy, her groomer, she's like, yeah, let's go. Jumps in the car. She's excited. We get to the groomer. She's so excited. We go in. She's like, can I just not go in there? It's like she forgets. My dog will sit and look at me, and you can tell she's frustrated. Like, I know she's frustrated because her jaw will look kind of flat, and she'll just look at me like, and she'll just sit and stare at me like I should be reading her mind. I should know exactly what it is that she needs me to do. And if I say, show me, she'll look down at the ball and she'll look back at me. And I'll know exactly which ball she wants me to throw for her. There could be 10 of them there, but she will look at the one she wants, and then she'll look back at me with her flat face. She's obnoxious. Again, if you follow any of my other socials, like my personal socials, lots of pictures. But my dogs, by the way, my dogs have their own Instagram. Well, one of my puppies has passed. Like she passed a year ago. There is Piper and Olive's Adventures. Adventures of Piper and Olive. Yours do the same. It seems that the dog is trying to talk to me all the time. Yes, this happened all of a sudden, and it looks as if she's trying to understand what I'm saying. And if I talk to my dog, she does. She's like, it's hilarious, you know? But yeah, Olive is extremely animated. She's extremely animated. Piper, back in the day, when she was alive, like we were kindred spirits. We just knew. Yes, our pup always tries to hug us anytime we're upset. Oh, yes, they are. There's also something, I can't remember where it was. I saw a YouTube thing that was talking about how dogs have their own realm. That it's not that they go to the same place energetically that we go. They come in with their own agenda, their own purpose, that they are not coming and going from the same place we are. I don't know that I believe that. I believe that my consciousness can drop into a dog's consciousness. So it's not that I can't be reincarnated. I can drop into the experience of a rock and just sit there and be part of the consciousness of a rock if I want to, and then zoom back out, right? I talk to my cats and they talk back. You know what? When I was growing up, I just saw my mom just popped in here. I had a cat named Jessie and no, I did not name my oldest child after my cat, although she seems to think I did. It's not true because I never called her Jessie. That in the mornings, I would get up when I was in high school, junior high and high school, I'd get up in the morning and Jessie would come in and set up on the toilet. And I would just be like, and I would just talk to her and she would answer me. She would talk back to me and she would sleep on my bed at night. She and I were connected at a very deep level. And she was connected to the rest of my family too. I don't want to take that away from my brothers or my mom, but she would sit on the toilet while I did my hair and she would like, she would just talk to me. And she was the most vocal animal. Olive does the same thing. I talk to her like she's just another being just in my house. And sometimes she'll talk back to me. It's crazy. You know, my mom's popular over on the Instas. Hi, Mom. Pets are so funny. Mine grunts like he's having a conversation when I talk to him. I swear I can understand him clearly, and he likes to argue. Yes, Amy, that's how but you all have experienced Olive and her sassiness. If I'm doing a lot of readings or if I'm live doing readings, if you've been in my live, Olive will just start barking at things, you know? And I'm telling you, she communicates with us. It's crazy. Girl talk. Yes. Amazing. We're talking about animals because I introduced a cat and a dog under one roof. There you go. Everything is alive and just has a different wavelength. Yes, I believe if you can tap into that, then you'll be able to openly communicate. I agree 1000% natural mystics. And so this goes back to Lucky Meows back at us. He's so vocal. Rufus just stares. Rufus just doesn't care. Rufus is like, listen, I'm going to be over here minding my own business. You can chat it up. I got other things to be doing over here. But Lucky's like, ma, 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 ma. I love your cats. I'm sad I didn't get to meet them in person. That's okay. I will come to Aberdeen someday. Just like that. Yeah. So going back to mediumship, I feel, or I can't say I understand or I believe because I just don't know how it works. But I believe there's merit to, we're all connected to the divine because we are the divine. It's the divine has said, I know I'm going to be a Lorenda today. I know I'm going to be an Olive today. I know I'm going to be a rock today. I'm going to experience what it would be like to be a rock. I believe that this higher consciousness creates and imagines our avatars, our characters, and we live out a certain way. And I don't necessarily feel like they tell us what it is. Sometimes they talk through us and set us straight on things. yeah, when I get a castle and move there and y'all move in with me. Okay. But I just think that there, as far as mediumship, we all are connected to that divine somehow. We are connected to that collective consciousness somehow, and how we access it can depend on a lot of different things. Physical capacity, trauma, chosen experiences. Going back to one of the things that they talked about in one of the episodes is creativity can lessen anxiety. Anxiety can block creativity. So I don't know where I was going with that. Y'all know, you know what I mean? Like, I think certain experiences can put a damper on our ability to connect. I think our chosen experience, sometimes we go in with the experience with in mind of, I'm going to go in and I'm going to forget all of this exists. And I'm going to try to convince everybody around me that it doesn't exist. Good luck. Get me to the other side. That's just a chosen experience. Leave it on the floor, girl. It's like we're on our own AI. Yep. Right. Got to leave it on the floor. Our lovely opinionated pets. I know Olive is so mouthy. So mouthy. Piper was just a princess who just expected everyone to bow to her, which I vibe with. There's a reason that she and I were soul connected, me and Piper. Can spirit judge when you are ready to hear messages? Absolutely. But also, is it really spirit judging, or is it our higher self? See, this whole thing has made me think beyond spirit guides. Nicole came and shops at our Publix. If I see her again, I will give her your, you should, because I'm telling you, I'm going to have her on my show someday. And we'll be like, hey, bestie, twins. And I just watched her in Landman, or not Landman. What was I just watching? Not Landman. Oh, shoot. What's the show I was just watching? Lioness. Which tracks? Because me. Yeah, let her know. You should go watch this lady. She talks about you. She looks like you. Well, I don't look like her right now. But yeah, my younger days. The curly red hair. Hopping off is always a pleasure. Ah, good to see you, Ellen. Thanks for coming in and being part of the conversation. I really appreciate you. My kitty's name is Kitty Softpaws, and then I have my rescue, who's Roscoe, who's a dwarf Merle Frenchie. Oh my goodness, those little Frenchies, though, they got their little face. Oh my goodness. The Golden Compass. What's the Golden Compass? Is it a show? He's a doll. Aw, I bet. They're so stinking cute. I love the puppies. I love the doggies. My dog just gets irritated by me. When I'm petting her, she literally will go and she'll like stop my hand. Like, would you stop petting me? Oh, Golden Compass is a movie. Okay, cool. Okay. I have a list of movies I haven't watched. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is one of them. There's also another one with Tom Hanks that's supposed to be kind of spiritually connected, like in What I Do. But I can't remember the name of it now. And I feel like actually I have heard of the Golden Compass. I'm going to write these down. But anybody remember the Tom Hanks movie that's kind of woo-ish? I can't remember. Okay, Golden Compass. Oh, you guys. Funny you should say that. The word compass is a sign for me, actually. It's not Castaway. Me and Lee went to see it on our first date and I fell asleep. Oh no. And here you are, still together. I think maybe if we are open to the idea that we aren't the only souls here with brains and emotions and intelligence, then our thoughts are open to connecting to the higher self to grow and learn more. I agree. Amy. Okay, so Golden Compass is on my list, and then Everything, Everywhere. Somebody was just telling me about another movie though. It was last week. I'm going to look back through the comments from last week's live. It's there somewhere. I just can't remember the name of it. So anyway, now I want to learn how to talk telepathically to my dog. Although I'm pretty sure Earth Atlas, that's what it is. Earth Atlas. Because I have so much time to watch movies. Well, Dreams May Come. Yes, that is another one that I've heard of. Also, I'm tired of spirit messing with my nose. It's like it feels like a feather tickles my nose to get my attention. I'm like, listen, tap me on the shoulder. That seems less annoying than me rubbing my nose all day. Yeah, Rosemary knows. Rosemary knows what kind of days I put in to use the earwax instead. You crack me up, Roger. So many. I know. I worked for a good, 8 hours? And I'm like delegating to you the whole time. Like, okay, here's all the things I need you to do. And then I send you the list of all the crap that I got done. And then I did all that for 8 hours and then went to work for another 5 hours. That's how my days go. But I love it. Like, I love both. I love the things that I do. I just need help sometimes. Spirit just gets literally right in your face to get your attention. It does. It does. It's like right here. I get that all the time. Would that be my guide? Yes, you do have a guide. We all do. We call that spirit nose. Okay. So yes, I was like so busy Monday and Tuesday, but super productive. It was great. It's like I was getting that full moon energy. It was great. So much done. Yeah, so much done. And then today, so then it helped me yesterday to feel better about my life, going and doing semi-social things. And today I'm going to go do, you guys, I'm going to go have lunch today with someone I have not seen in years. You guys want to hear a cool story? Do you want to hear a cool story? The answer is yes, you do. So going back to the telepathy tapes even. So my son, his best friend in grade school, on the spectrum, but also my son's pretty neurodivergent also. But they could actually play and have like the best time as little kids without actually talking. Like, it was wild how they communicated when they were younger. That's true, Rosemary. That's true. Hello, Sue. And so the mom and I used to have great conversations, but the kids went to Catholic school together. Well, hello, Sarah. And so they would just play, destroying my house. And I'm sure when my son went to her house, they destroyed her house too. But I was so busy, and she was a full-time working mom. We just never, like, I didn't talk about me developing mediumship, me doing tarot cards. We didn't talk about any of that stuff because the kids were in Catholic school. And so that was we just didn't talk about it. And she just reached out to me a couple weeks ago. She goes, I just saw your Instagram. Holy crap. I didn't know you did this. I'm also a medium, but I never talked to about it. So we're having lunch today. I haven't not connected to her in so long. Like I said, we'd have good conversations, but usually we're kind of like dropping our kids off at each other's house so we can have a fucking break, because our kids were so high strung and high maintenance that they were exhausting. I have a little demon to destroy the house, your dog, even when my mom was home or not. Yeah, I feel that. Birds of a feather. Oh yeah, they got along so well. And then we ended up leaving the school because we just weren't getting what we needed from the school. But here's the crazy thing. 2 weeks ago, my husband and I were going to dinner, and he went a different route. And we drove by where this family used to live. And we drove by, we hit the roundabout, and I said, and in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder how they're doing. I wonder what kiddo is up to, because my son's getting ready to graduate college. Like, and then 2 days later, she messaged me. It's like we were connected telepathically somehow or energetically. And so, yeah, I'm excited to go have lunch with her and see what she's been up to, what her kiddo's been up to. And then learn kind of how she stepped into her mediumship. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. So Sarah says, she's laying next to me. We're kind of home alone. I have a spirit in my house. Oh. And she came back. Oh, you know what? Spirits happen. They happen. They're around me all the time. Spirit just gets literally, yeah. It's so good when you get to reconnect and now on a different level, yes, of similarity and not just because you're both moms. Yes. So I'm really interested to see what her experiences have been. And so Mom, if you're still around, I cannot wait to fill you in. I'll let you know how the lunch goes today. But okay, Sarah, cool. Love that. So I'm really curious to see, because she had mentioned also that like she had gone to like all this information was coming in. And this is a whole other deep dive. We might have to have this conversation on another day. This friend of mine had gone to, because we're neck deep, very hardcore Catholic, strong belief system. I was not that strong on the belief system. I had other reasons for going and connecting, but that was it. And that she had gone to priests that she trusted, because that's part of the faith. Like you trust the priest and you trust the religious people, and they just kind of poo-pooed on it. And so I'm interested to hear about her journey a little bit. Told medium friend on here, Janny in Michigan, about you in Camp Chesterfield to help expand her circle. Very cool. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Actually, Rosemary, my assistant who in here, she's from Michigan. She's part of a really, really good network in Michigan, like boots on the ground. So she's another good person to connect to. Hi, Erin. How are you doing? Yes, I'm happy to talk to your friend. Happy to. So this is so fun. I love talking about all this stuff and all the what ifs and the things that there's just no way to know until I think we're on the other side. You know, there's Rosemary. And I think there's just so much more that we don't understand. And like I said, I feel bad for the people who kind of put themselves into a box of religious belief system, and anything outside of looking to a leader of a church is deemed evil. Okay, cool, Sarah. I don't need the updates of who's in your house, but cool. Thank you. And there's Erin hanging in there back at the hotel, but good, hanging one day at a time. I've been sending you so much love. Good morning, Tammy. Hello. Hello. So this whole time, if you're just popping in, you're just settling in, and I see Tina's in the house. Hi, friend. How are you? Good to see you. Okay, so we've been talking. You missed Nik. We had Peaceful Nik on earlier. You're gonna have to go back and watch the episode. So it's been really good. Talking about the telepathy tapes and the idea of telepathy. The idea that these nonverbal autistic children or kiddos go to a place telepathically, to a place called the Hill, and that's what they call it. But there's people from all over the world that call it the same thing. And just the synchronicities, So, all right, let's see. In Florida on vacation. I'm so jealous because it's cold here. I need to be on vacation. I keep mentioning that to my husband. I'm like, why are we on vacation? He's like, because we're building a house. I'm like, you're stupid. I'm joking, of course. I'm joking. I have recognized the privilege here. So anyway, hi, souls are beautiful. Welcome in. Welcome in. Glad to have you here. So we've had some really great discussions today. I do need a trip to Scotland. I need to go back. Matt said he's willing to go back, so I'm pretty excited. So we've been talking about the telepathy tapes. Check them out. They're on YouTube. There's 2 seasons. The first season focuses on nonverbal autistic children. That's how the whole thing got started. The whole podcast got started. But then it takes it into deep dive of other sciences and mediumship and savants even, and understanding so many different things. And so there's so many different layers, and I'm not all the way through. Hopefully by the time I come back next Thursday, I will have gotten through all that. But also next Thursday, I've got a guest on. Her name's Dana. I used to work a lot with Dana and another friend of ours, well, former friend. And I started like a little trio of us. And we used to do readings together all the time. So Dana has moved to Spain and she does oracle stuff. And she and I still like to collaborate occasionally. It's just been a long time. So she's going to be on the show next week. We're going to be doing readings together. So make sure you're following me, subscribing to the channel, because we're going to be on doing that. Yeah, she moved. Well, she's from like the United States and moved to Roatan. She's lived in Roatan for years and then just moved to Spain this past year. Yeah. So I would love to go visit her. I think it'd be great. But she and I have been friends online for years. I met her at the same time. My friend Pam was in here. I met her on an app. I was in like a motorcycle group on a thing called Kick. And so I was like meeting other motorcycle people. And then also I was trying to find other mystical kind of people. And I ended up stumbling across her little group. And I met a whole bunch of really cool people in that group. And we started just doing a lot of collaboration together. And that was at least 10 years ago. I want to say I met her about 10 years ago. Yeah, 2016, I think. Whoa, that was 2016 or 2017. So it's been almost 10 years that I've known her, at least 9 years. So we're going to have a reconnection next Thursday. We'll be doing readings together. Wait till you see how well we read together. She was one of the first people that I would do joint readings with. Actually, she may have been the first person I ever jumped into that field with. And it was cool because we had a great balance of I'd pull a card, she'd pull a card, she'd start into a message, and I would go into mediumship. She was one of the first people to give me that space for just opening up and doing mediumship. Hey, Lucy, good to see you. Good to see you, my friend. And so she'll be on next Thursday. On Monday Night Mania, I've got Elias Patras coming on the show. I've been on his podcast. I've been on his show a couple of times. And so he's going to be coming on talking about, he's like a no BS motivational speaker, best-selling author. So Elias is going to be on. And then on the 16th on Monday Night Mania, we're going to have my friend Todd Leonard on. And we are going to be talking about, I talked about it a little bit at one point. We did a seance back in September at the Bangs sisters' house. And my friend Todd owns that house at Camp Chesterfield. He lives in Japan full time, but he comes to camp like once a year. He comes back to the United States once or twice a year. So we did a seance and I channeled the Bangs sisters, both Lizzie and May. So we're going to be talking about that experience. So if you have not watched that, go watch that. It's on YouTube. It's the Bangs sister seance on my channel. So go watch that. It's fascinating. It's just raw video. I never did edit it. I never did make any changes to it. And it's dark, but just listen and you'll hear it. I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. So he's going to come on. We're going to talk about that next in a week and a half. So not next Monday, but the following Monday. So we'll have 2 Monday Night Mania episodes. We've got Dana coming on next Thursday. So many things. You're right, Rosemary. So many things, which again, that was part of my hustle on Monday and Tuesday when I was working so hard. And even yesterday I worked between the readings I was doing. I had booked readings and all that. So if you're interested in a reading with me, I know I didn't do any readings today, but if you're interested in a private reading or a multidimensional experience or a past life regression, go to my website, check everything out. If you've got questions, message me through my website. The link tree is in the profile. So make sure you check all those things out. Happy to talk with you. Hello in Ireland. Interesting, because we were just talking about Ireland and Scotland and then you popped in. Crazy stuff. So anyway, tune in next week. We're going to be doing free readings. Dana and I are going to be pulling cards, doing intuitive. It's great. You'll love this energy. You will love the synergy between the two of us. So anyway, there we go. So free readings. Yes. Seriously, Sarah, next week. Same time, same bat time, same bat station. All right. But she will be on, she will not be on TikTok. She will be only on the YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. So make sure you go follow and subscribe to those channels. So Lorenda Carr Medium. So check out those channels and make sure you subscribe there. We'll be doing free readings there. All right, friends. I'm going to go get ready for my lunch with my long lost friend. And I will be sure to give you all updates on that. I'm super curious to see how that goes. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe I'll get her on here to talk about it. We'll see. We'll see. And also we're going to Slapfish. I'm about to have a lobster roll. I cannot wait. I love me some food. So, all right, friends, have a great day and hang on TikTok. You get to listen to my outro, all my regalness. So here, I got to put my crown back on so I can do it. You ready? Okay, here we go. All right, friends, have a great day. We'll see you in a week. Mwah. Bye.
Your time in the realm of the crowned medium is cherished. Her Highness Lorenda Carr encourages you to like, subscribe, comment, and follow on all channels to stay updated on new episodes and offerings.